Good afternoon, gamblers. Welcome to another live edition of the Dream Wager. We are here on this rainy Monday, June 14th, 2021. I am your host, Dylan. Alongside me, we got our NBA guru, Elvis. How you doing, bro?
Decent, pretty good, but
You're here. Yep.
could be better.
Absolutely.
Could be better.
And joining us from beautiful South Carolina, Joey D. How are you, sir?
Doing well on this Flag Day. Happy 246th birthday to the United States Army.
Oh, wow. Congrats. Happy birthday. We actually have a flag up in the studio as well. It was up here for Memorial Day. Thank you for reminding us. I had no idea. But what a weekend we had, boys. Elvis, you were right. A first ever champion for their country was crowned Saturday night, but it was not Vittori. Brandon Moreno of Mexico submitted Davison Figueiredo in the third round, the new 125 champ. Joe, what'd you think of that match?
Dude, super impressive. You know, whatever the narrative is, just expect the opposite. Bet the opposite because it never lands on what the media is telling you it's going to be. You know, we had our eyes on Vittori possibly upsetting him, but man, we forget about that first fight that Moreno put on against Figgy. You know, granted, Figgy did say, oh, you know, I had a stomach virus and I was sick the night before, and that's why. That's where I thought that he would get the finish, but I did not expect a third round finish from Moreno. That dude, he just has the heart of Mexico. That is the true fighting spirit right there. Sponsored by Modelo.
Honestly, I'm really happy for him. Even though I was rooting for Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno did everything that I thought Figueiredo would do. Submitted him. He was much better on the ground than I anticipated.
He won the first two rounds before the finish.
Convincingly.
Yes.
I thought they were like 10-8, maybe 10-9 rounds.
The second round more so, for sure.
Yeah. So shout out Brandon Moreno, the new 125 champ. You see a trilogy in place.
Yeah, baby assassin. I think they could run it back because the 125-pound division's a little tricky. I did hear reports that maybe an early favorite instead of Figueiredo is Askar Askarov having a rematch against Brandon Moreno. And I think Askar might have beaten him the first time around, but
You're right.
he's not the champ. Brandon Moreno is the champ. So,
He can do whatever he
and
wants.
also another good thing about man, that's just a likable dude. He made friends with absolutely everybody during that weekend. You know, he made the most of the event. You know, a lot of the times you kind of get caught up in the whole situation. But, man, he was just having the time of his life, enjoying everything and taking it in. So, congratulations to that man. He deserves it.
Everyone who was getting interviewed, all the fighters, they had nothing but kind words to say about Brandon, his family, the way he carries himself. Honestly, it's like a guy you have to root for a guy like that, you know?
Yeah, you can't hate on a guy like that.
No, not at all. And he does everything the right way. He worked his way up after getting cut from the UFC, coming back and being the champ.
Yeah.
It's
Last
incredible.
pick on the tough tournament. We have another episode tomorrow tomorrow at 9. So it's just like that. That man was picked last, and look at him now, champion of the world.
Champ of the world.
Viva Mexico.
Yep.
Speaking of champs, Izzy, what happened to your boy? What happened?
I'm gonna be honest. That's why, you know, he was a major underdog in the fight. You know,
It's true.
I just like rooting for puppies. That's
No,
all,
I
man.
feel you.
That's all. I wanted to witness history. I wanted to witness a first-time champ. I'm glad I got to witness that, but
Yeah.
it's not the fight I picked. That plus 1100.
You were saying it was a boring fight. Why?
It was. I'm gonna be honest. You expect more. This is the main event. I seen previous fights before it more exciting. It's the main event. This is what you've been waiting for. It's 1 a.m. I want to see. I want to see a bar burner. You know.
Yeah,
what
you
I'm
want to be
saying?
on your feet at 1 in the morning, not like half
Exactly.
asleep.
I'm over here, like, after the third round, I was just like,
And in that third round, that was the closest that Vittori would have gotten to a finish when he had his
Yeah.
back, and Izzy just popped around it. And that's when he said, I looked into his eyes and I knew I took his soul because he just had no other options, Vittori. So, man,
He
Izzy
was
dominated.
fast.
Yeah, from
Fast.
first
after
to
the third round, it was over.
and you heard his coaches after every round he goes, it's that 1-2 and takedown, but he didn't have the gas tank to do that. And I thought Izzy just showed great growth through the first time versus Vettori, because he was getting taken down easily. He didn't have good he wasn't able to get up as easy. But this fight, oh my God, it looked like the guy was inexperienced on the ground.
We talked about it. The Blachowicz fight is kind of what set him up for success here. I truly
that was
believe
the best thing for him.
Yeah, because if he may have fought Vettori without that fight, who knows if he would have been ready for that type of takedown game and the weight that Vettori, because he's definitely coming in heavier than Izzy. Izzy weighed in at 183.5. Vettori was at like 185, 184.5. So you could tell who the bigger guy is naturally. Yeah. But man, Izzy's the one who stepped up, went to higher weight, got control of that, felt that, came back down, defended his title with ease. Man, it was with ease.
Who do you see Izzy defending it next? Bobby Knuckles? I know he
100%. And instead, we talked about maybe in Melbourne, he's going to go down to Auckland. They're going to be in New Zealand for this time around. So that would be a tremendous fight, a sold-out arena down there, 100% guaranteed.
I wish I could go to that. That would be insane.
Go down under.
Just going at it. Let's talk about our boy, Nate Diaz. Man, he was so close. You were telling me right before we started recording, another minute, and the fight was his.
Dude, mythical fighter unlocked, 6th round Diaz. If we ever had these fights go to 6th round, you know these Diaz brothers ain't going to be stopped. But, man, you did say something to it. Like, he didn't really put the pedal to the metal. He got that 1-2, rocked Leon Edwards, and didn't close the show, where he could have. If he kept pressing on him, maybe how he did when he fought Conor with that upset, we would have a different situation here. I think Nate Diaz would have been right in line for a title shot, which is a crazy thing to say, but he stole all the shine from Leon Edwards. Right now, I don't really think Leon Edwards deserves a title shot, to be completely honest with you.
He says he does. After his post-fight interview, he goes, I've proven myself. I've come back. I've fought the biggest name.
Lest we forget, he dominated all 5 rounds. As we said with Izzy dominated 5 rounds. Granted, Leon dominated the 5 rounds, but the difference is he didn't get caught, Izzy. Leon got caught at the end, and it was bad.
Yeah. You were going to say something.
Yeah, he dominated 4.5 rounds easy.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, if Nate Diaz never stood up and just pointed at him, would have just came at him with something, probably would have been a different result. But
not a Nate Diaz fight unless we see some blood. I thought it was amazing. Should have went to the party afterwards. That was probably a banger.
Yeah, he invited everyone. He invited everyone.
The whole crowd.
Just DM me.
Yeah, the money was too good with that. You can't roll against Diaz Army anyway. So, congrats to Leon. That's a true man's man, a true fighter's fighter, with Nate Diaz actually congratulating Leon as well. He's like, you know what? Forget what the naysayers say. Forget what I even said about that. Really much so, the UFC might give Leon that title shot against Kamaru Usman, but I think first the Kamaru Usman rematch will be against Colby Covington. So
I was just gonna say Colby at least deserves it.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like Leon Eye-Poke Edwards, I thought he did a good job on the ground, honestly. And I thought that's where Nate would have the advantage. But he kind of controlled Nate and put him into situations that Nate couldn't get out of, which was very odd to me. I'm not used to seeing Nate being not dominated, but controlled on the ground like that.
No, I think Leon's stand-up game is tremendous. Like you said, we would think that the grappling exchanges would go towards Diaz's favor, but he did what he needed to do. Leon popped up when he needed to. He found a way to maybe take some dominating positions if he had to, but he didn't really, utilize it as much. Didn't take advantage of those positions. That's not his game. We said it. He's a stand-up guy, and, he's going to have to take that style fight in when he faces Kamaru Usman, because he might have to wait after their rematch to fight them, but keep in mind, they fought already, and Kamaru Usman dominated him in a decision.
I don't know one fighter that could lose all 5 rounds like that and his stock go up besides Nate Diaz.
Dude.
It's insane.
Not to go too ahead, but, that makes me think, he's off a couple of losses, and let's say Conor loses against Dustin in July. Oh. I think the trilogy's the next fight to make. Nate versus Conor McGregor 3. That's the fight. But let's see what happens. We're not there yet, but that's a little thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I only went 2-4, this weekend, but one of the fights I did get, Bilal, remember the name. Dominated Damian Maia, I think.
I just hate that there's so many naysayers. Like, people said that, you couldn't put away Damian. We said it. Damian Maia is one of the most resilient fighters in history.
Yeah. And honestly, in the first couple of rounds, especially the first, I thought Damian Maya controlled the pace of the fight.
You could say he won the first round.
Yeah. So I don't know what all these naysayers are saying, but once Bala felt him out and saw what he brought, I think he was like, okay, now I know what I can and cannot do. And I think he controlled most of the fight. And who cares if he put him away? He finished him unanimously, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was a unanimous decision, and he even goes out and says to Leon, he was like, hey, man, you didn't hold your own against Nate Diaz. So there's a little bad blood brewing between Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards. Bilal wants to get that fight back. You know, he's hungry for
Which
it.
he should.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
At that time, I think what you said, Colby should verse Kamaru Usman in the meantime.
And to get Leon's stock back up after Nate took a whole ton of it, have him fight Bilal Muhammad. And there you got two guys on tremendous fight streaks, and they are ready to fight for the title.
Which is very surprising. After this match, according to Dana White and Ariel Helwani, Damian Maya, they're not thinking about re-signing him to the I was about to say WWE.
His contract's up. That's what it is.
Why?
And no, he finished all his fights in his contract. And the UFC doesn't seem like they're willing to sign a 43-year-old back to the roster. You know, it's unfortunate, but the man's kind of past his fighting days, you know? Like we talked about, he's going to be competing in grappling tournaments around the world. He's going to be teaching around the world. If I had a chance to have a 5-minute like class with Damian Maya, the amount of information you would learn from that man is you know, priceless. So
absolutely. Let's go to the last fight in the main card,
which was the first.
Oddly enough. Oh, I felt so bad for Jamahal Hall. He dislocated his arm. I think you took Paul Craig, right?
Well, I was hedging myself with the individual bets. Mm-hmm. It was a Paul Craig submission, is what I call that plus 440, but the referee did not see it. He did not see when the elbow dislocated. That's not good reffing. People called that man the Arizona Mazzagatti. You need to know, as a referee, your job is to protect the fighters. You need to know if a man's elbow's dislocated or broken. Like, that's your job. And he did a disservice to Jamahal Hill because the dude has tremendous fight. That dude was in a triangle with a dislocated elbow, and he was still trying to punch Paul Craig.
He's still trying to punch it and get out of it. He definitely tore ligaments.
Yeah, that happens with the dislocation. He was getting, like, rattled. Like, Paul Craig's a beast. And the one thing that I did lock up was that first-round finish because I thought it was going to be a barn burner. I thought these guys were going to come out swinging, grappling, and that's exactly what happened. So that plus 200 first-round finish occurred. So that did hit. I think Paul Craig's another like dark horse in that light heavyweight division, though.
I do too. And it was interesting because they're both on the rise. Do you see Hill now dropping out at the top 15?
I don't know if you could do him dirty like that, but here's an interesting matchup for Paul Craig. He had a last-second submission against Magomed Ankalaev, and people are saying Magomed Ankalaev is like another dark horse for the division. So I don't know how much Paul Craig has to gain from running that rematch back, but the UFC might say, hey, we need to determine a light heavyweight like contender here. Just like along the lines with Jiri Prochazka and Alexander Rakic, we're probably going to see that matchup again with Magomed Ankalaev and Paul Craig, just to see how we can solidify who's a number one contender in that 205 division.
It was very interesting. I thought, like you said, I think that the ref, what's his name? Do you know?
No, I honestly, even Dana White didn't know, and he was clowning him in the press.
I thought it was some old guy, and
he was strictly Arizona. All the media members were actually like, it was funny to hear the post press conference, and they were talking about that ref. They were like clowning that man. It was embarrassing.
It has to be because
absolutely.
He put Hill in more danger than he was already in, and even Paul Craig looked at the ref and said, "Are you going to stop this?"
Exactly.
I felt it come out. And even Paul Craig didn't want to do it, but he was just lightly hammer fisting him just to call the stoppage at this point.
Yeah.
And great respect for both fighters because after all the week and antics of going back and forth with each other, they have great respect. He goes, I hope he gets a speedy recovery. He's a great fighter.
He'll be back. Jamahal Hill will be back. He's super young. That dude's super talented as well. Great striking. So mad respect on that card, 263 all around. So you love to see it. Yeah.
What was your record overall, Joe?
Well, I technically went 3-2, but I feel like I went undefeated with having Nate Diaz steal all the shine in that last round and Brandon Moreno winning. You can't hate against it. So, yeah, I went 3-2, but I feel like I'm undefeated.
5-0 with an asterisk.
Let's go.
I went 2-4. I also got I took an early prelim. I got Chase Hooper. He got dominated, I thought, honestly. And I got Eric Andrews right.
Your boy.
He got the rematch and he dominated.
Yeah, he
which is
dominated.
good.
We thought an early finish, but he just, he's
It was a
way.
different weight class.
He
though,
was
right?
no, they're the same 205, but Darren Stewart moved up originally from 185, so you can tell the body types and the differences. Eric Anders is a real 205er. That was a big man.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned we have tough tomorrow night. Anything else that we have? Bellator, PFL.
This
upcoming-
Thursday, there's PFL again. McDonald versus Gleason Tebow. That's gonna headline it. So we have that, and then once again, we'll be back into another fight night. We'll cover on Friday because that's Saturday.
Yep, Korean Zombie versus Dan Ige.
50K. Early little lean. I think I'm going. Ige's hot.
Oh,
Ige's hot.
Tease.
Ooh.
You got Ige. All right, we'll see you on Friday for that fight night. But let's get into the NBA. I'll start with you, Elvis. I asked you on Friday if you were worried for a potential comeback by the Bucks. You said no, you weren't worried at all. I'll ask you again. After the Bucks tied up the series 2-2 yesterday, are you at all worried for the Nets coming back? For the Bucks coming back, excuse me.
With the Nets, I can't even lie. I'm a little nervous.
Gotta be
a little
now.
worried. Kyrie left the arena in a walking boot and crutches,
Little ankle.
looking like he's not gonna be able to play. KD was in county all game 4. PJ Tucker, besides the third quarter. PJ Tucker, I don't know what he was doing. He's playing slam ball out there.
He's playing
It was a
prison
more
ball.
Physical team. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
he got the job done. You gotta respect it. And I'm gonna be honest, after dropping 2 straight, I think it's a little panic. May have to rush James Harden back into the rotation.
Oh.
Possibly have him go in there, play 25, 30 minutes. A little minute restriction, but hey, if Kyrie won't be able to go, man, shit. Even if Steve Nash might have to come in there and run a few plays.
That would be great to see.
Yeah,
One can
right?
only hope.
I just don't think KD could do it by himself against this Milwaukee team.
Especially if they're the more physical team, which they proved
Well,
they were.
If the refs could just do their jobs.
Well, I think now that Steve Nash has come out and he's talked about the officiating, Kevin Durant, he had a bad shooting night, even though he was by himself.
Yeah, but he got you even said it. He got fouled a ton.
He did get fouled, but they were at Milwaukee. They're gonna get those calls now at Brooklyn. I think the crowd's gonna pressure the refs into getting more calls for them. It's weird because up 2-0, the Nets were minus 400 in the series. Today, the Nets are plus 110 in the series.
Wow.
Because of the uncertainty.
We getting injured. It's just because of injury.
That was my fear.
Yeah, at the end of the day, beginning of the series, I told everybody, Bucks are the only team that could possibly take us 7 games. And I'm gonna be honest, with our injury history right now, it ain't looking good.
No.
It ain't looking good, but I still got faith in our boys. KD's still the best player in the tournament right now, so I got faith in Brooklyn. Must-win situation because we can't go back to Milwaukee down 3-2. I'm be honest.
Joe, what are your
You could
thoughts
argue
on-
best player in the world with KD, but it's like going away from his game plan. He could obviously ISO ball and do his thing, but he does do a lot of catch and shoot, and there's no one to give him the pass so he can catch. He'll have to do a lot of single-handed shooting. That's not really his game. And I said it. That was my fear, is like a single injury away from making this series that much more interesting. And it happened to be Kyrie, who's like a big facilitator and all that. This next game, it's like I feel like it's going to happen. Whatever I bet, it's going to be the opposite. Like if I go with the Bucks, the Nets are going to win. If I go with the Nets, the Bucks are going to win. I knew this series. Yeah.
Has that been the case?
It actually
recently?
has, yeah,
Oh,
for me.
wow.
So that's why I don't know what to think with this series. You're right. If the Bucks one happen to go ahead a game and go 3-2 in the series, you're gonna have to rush James Harden back. He's gonna have to come back at like whatever % healthy he is.
I would even have him play a few minutes tomorrow, man. Like it's a must-win.
Maybe
we can't go back
fourth
to
quarter?
Milwaukee down 3-2.
I agree.
The series is going to be over.
If we lose tomorrow, the series over.
And
We
are
can't
you
go-
guys home?
Yeah, we're home tomorrow. We go. That's what I'm saying. We can't go back to Milwaukee Game 6, and we're going to be down 3-2.
No.
we can't.
'Cause now they control home
They
court.
control. They could.
Yeah.
I think if they win the home game and the Bucks do, it might possibly, like we talked about, go to 7. I think Game 7's anyone's.
It's just hard. Like, yeah, you guys got Jeff Green back, but no Harden. It's probably not looking like Kyrie's gonna play. Now Blake Griffin. Remember, we were like, why is he on the bench for so long? He was getting hurt. So you just can't replace 60, 70 points like that. KD is one of the best scorers I've ever seen in my life, but even he's having trouble against PJ Tucker. They're not paying PJ Tucker 10 million to shoot the ball. They're paying him to defend and play physical like he is.
And I think it's hard on Steve Nash too, the fact that he has to overcompensate for the lack of, superstars. You got that comfortability having those two guys there. Now they're not there. How is a rookie coach going to overcome that?
Because you're not getting the 3-point shooting from Joe Harris that you got in the regular season. Shamet, Mike James, you're gonna need a big game from them. If I was Steve Nash, I'd go to him and be like, I need one game. Give me 20, 25. I need one game. So we get the lead, and then maybe Harden can come back for game 6. Then you need one game.
Landry Shamet, Joe Harris, even Bruce Brown are all capable of doing it. We just need one game. They all had, their own spurts during the season, having a 25-point game. Even Landry Shamet, he had a almost a 40-point game during the regular season. So we just need one guy to step up.
But where's my and then it all comes back. Like I'm all positive about the Nets, but my thing is, where is this scoring going to come from? You just can't pull it out of thin air. Kevin Durant's going to get his 30, 40 regardless. But where are you going to get your other 60, 70?
He's going to have to create shots for other players, man. He's going to have to
and they're going to have to hit shots.
That's the thing. We have some shooters. We have pretty good shooters on our roster. So I'm pretty sure we leave them open in Brooklyn, they'll hit their shots. But if we have an off night, kiss the series goodbye.
Yeah, I think if the Nets lose game 5, it's over.
It's over.
Wow.
Joe.
But we ain't.
You think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Nets win this next game though. It will get pushed to 7, but if the Bucks win, I think they finish it at home. It'll be ending 6.
Yeah. Game 5 is a must-win for the Nets. Let's talk about the second game. We watched it last night. The first team to punch their ticket to the Western Conference Finals, the Phoenix Suns. They swept the Denver Nuggets, and now they're going to head over. We were talking about this. If the Jazz and Clippers go 6-7 games, they're going to have 9 days off. How big of an addition has Chris Paul been to this Suns team, Elvis?
I told you guys about a month ago before the playoffs started, I feel like Chris Paul was the season MVP. At the end of the day, he brought a team that didn't make the playoffs last year into the second overall seed, potentially had them in the first seed sometime in the season. At the end of the day, Chris Paul did an immaculate job with these guys, man. He led them down the road, got them playing ball, an amazing level. Man, Chris Paul, just the series alone, he didn't have a single turnover in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Any of these 4 games, not one single turnover. Yesterday, 14 for 19, 9 for 9 from the free throw line. He's just efficient, and you got to respect it.
Joe, how big is Chris Paul to this?
Huge. But it's also like I talked a lot about in today's episode about like weight off your shoulders, and with CP3 now that like LeBron is out of the playoffs, I think there's not as much pressure on CP3. The fact is like anytime he went into a playoff, there was always supposedly the best player in the world in that conference with him, the best team in that conference with him. Now, both you could argue the best team and maybe the best player is now not in the playoffs any longer. So he's like, now it's my time to shine. After all the years and all the criticism that I've taken, now it's my time to put the team on my back and make it to a finals. And now he has a super chance to do that. He's in a Western Conference Finals now. I didn't see it that way. I thought that the Nuggets were going to win the series. They got swept. So I just think all credit to Devin Booker and CP3. CP3's first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the best point guards in NBA history. He definitely didn't get enough credit up to this point because now he's going to get all the praise that he deserves.
Yeah, I think his veteran presence for this team has been remarkable. I think he might be the most underrated leader in the NBA.
Oh, he is.
I know I said I thought Joker deserved MVP, but the way Chris Paul was like Joey was said, taking the weight off his team's shoulder. He was the floor general on this series. How was he that disrespected in MVP voting? It's quite remarkable now that I think about it. Yeah, it's cool that a big man won it, but at the end of the day, can you really say, looking at the two teams, who was more valuable to their team? You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, I feel like Joker led them to the 4th seed without Jamal Murray, so that's kind of sealed it. Would Chris Paul lead the Suns to the 2nd seed or even a top 4 seed without Devin Booker?
Yeah,
that's very unlikely. So the fact that the Joker led his team to top 4 seed without his co-stars, pretty remarkable. I'll be honest. So yeah. I think he deserved the MVP, but like I said, Chris Paul, he would have had my vote.
Look, Elvis, not to
Oh, if you had a
backtrack.
vote.
If I had a vote, I would have had Chris Paul.
Definitely. I said Steph, a little earlier, but now
That's overrated, bro.
Yeah.
He had 2 good months.
exactly. I say now the proof's of the pudding. But a quick question: we talked about the 9-day layoff that could possibly happen if the Clippers and series goes 7. So, does that help the Suns, or does that hurt them? Are they gonna go cold
them.
now that
And
okay?
after CP3 injury history in the playoffs, man, I think he needs the most rest possible. I think he needs to see the chiropractor, get a massage every day, everything. You need him to be as healthy and as ready as possible. Cause
Yeah, I'm on the same side as of especially Chris Paul since he has that injury history. Other guys, they're very young,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
don't really expect
at the end of the day,
that.
Chris Paul's 36 years old. You give him a
Yeah.
week off, he's gonna come back great.
Strong. You think they'll be favorited to move on to the finals?
Against the Jazz, yeah. Against the Clippers, I'm be honest, Vegas love the Clippers. Look
Wow.
at the spread today. So,
All right.
and real quick before we
Yeah.
move on, I just want to throw this out there. I just feel like there's no way an MVP should be getting thrown out the game, and while the game is in a toss up at 83-76.
The
Just give him
Jokic
a
foul.
Give him a
Yeah.
flagrant one,
And move it on.
and he has no history. Last time he's been ejected from a game is 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I understand he was frustrated over a call, but you should not be throwing out the MVP of the league when the team is down 3-0 at home.
Yeah.
That's complete bullshit by the refs, and the NBA should come down.
I
come
agree.
down.
And do you
Clippers.
think it was the ejection immediately after the foul, or was it all the circumstances after? Because there was the confrontation, it got face to face, and did the ref say, "Oh, now we got to throw him out of the game"? Was it kind of like an aftersight?
No, they're saying that the windup.
So the immediate foul caused the
Hey, look,
ejection.
don't get me wrong. It looked vicious. He was intent.
And he hit Cameron Payne in the face.
Yeah, I understand, but at the end of the day, his hand smacked the ball.
But it also hit his face before.
His hand did not hit his face.
No,
his
his
arm,
elbow. I
his
watched
arm-
it
I know.
15 times.
His
That
arm
shit
hit
hit
his
it.
face, but you could tell at the end of the day he knocked the ball smooth out his hands. So
But
at
he
the end,
hit
he
him.
got ball hand on ball.
But he hit him first.
It was
understand.
aggressive, but was it intentional?
He wound.
It
he
wasn't.
wound it up.
He meant to intentional foul him, but at the end of the day he still got the ball.
It doesn't matter to me. That if you get ball, then you should only get ball. If you hit my face, that's aggressive.
I
and
hear you, but he
egregious.
flopped.
No, he
not
didn't.
He did not get
No,
hit that hard.
yeah,
he
he
flopped.
did. It's a big ass guy like Joker and a little guy like Cameron Payne wounding up. If Joker hits you in the face, you going like that too. I
No, man.
promise you.
No,
Yeah.
man.
The only
That-
thing that I could say to you, Dylan, was you did have a statement on an episode before about that NHL hit with the Habs and the Jets series.
Playoffs!
What side of the fence were you on again? Were you on the side that was okay, or was that not okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
I said have your head up. I said that was a fucking amazing hit.
Oh, so but then on this
But
Joker
this- but-
situation, you're
Against it.
but,
and he
but
got
this
all
is,
ball.
that's a more physical sport
definitely
as
definitely
opposed-
different circumstances, but I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I don't agree. He should have been thrown out. I thought it should have been a flagrant
And
one,
keep it
or
moving.
even just a common foul and move it on. It's the play, and they're down 3-0 at home. I don't
Take
even
their
think they-
best
also-
player off the team.
down
Yeah,
They're no
and it's the-
chance.
and it's the MVP. As soon as he got thrown out, they had no chance.
Zero.
after that. So I don't think he should have been not fouled out, thrown out, but it was definitely an egregious hit. I thought ejection, no, that was kind of crazy, but I mean, I don't know. I think that they had no chance regardless. They had no answer.
Suns were on him.
The Suns were on them, yeah. But let me ask you this question: if you guys were the Suns, who would you want to play next, the Clippers or the Jazz? The Suns are 1-2 against the Clippers and 3-0 against the Jazz. Yeah, it's regular season, but who would you guys want to play if you're the Suns?
Jazz make it, it's a 1-2 series, right? Number 1 and number 2.
Yeah.
Though they went 3-0, I think they would rather the star. Going back to what you said, Elvis, the star power with the Clippers, man. You think they'd be more intimidating with an ex-champion in Kawhi Leonard?
And even just experience across the board. You got Ty Lue there, Paul George.
Jazz were in the Western Conference Finals last year, no?
No.
No.
They got eliminated.
It
by
was
Denver.
So
Lost
that's the
3-0.
thing. I think for the Suns, they would rather want to face the Jazz. The lack of experience that they have as compared to the Suns, CP3 especially, that's probably what they would want. And then the Clippers, they're gonna have to face star power. They're gonna have to go to LA. I think it might open a lot of memories from CP3 being in the Clippers. You know, he doesn't like going over to Staples. So
How about you, Elvis?
I'm gonna be honest. Me personally, as a fan, I would like
No,
them.
if you were on the Suns.
All right, so if I was on the Suns, I would like to play the Jazz all day. At the end of the day, there's nobody who's been to the finals there.
Yeah.
Nobody. So I think
But you got a superstar in Donovan Mitchell.
you got a superstar in the Mitchell, but the lights might just end up being too bright for him. At the end of the day, he blew a 3-1 lead last season. So did the Clippers, but he did it in the first round.
Yeah, let's not praise the Clippers like they're so good in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, but at the end, it's still the Clippers. You still gotta respect that two-headed
Uh.
monster, you know. And Reggie Jackson is playing like the OG Reggie Jackson, like it's October. So
Yeah, I probably would want to, not me, if I was on the Suns, I probably want to play the Jazz too. I'm 3-0 this year. And yeah, you might have to go on the road because they're the number 1 seed and you would have home court against the Clippers. So maybe that would be a factor. But I don't know. I'm 3-0. And personally, like me, I would want to see Chris Paul and Devin Booker versus Donovan Mitchell. That's more of a matchup for
nah,
me.
to me, the more of a match will be the Clippers and Suns, man. At the end of the day, Devin Booker been clowning Paul George all last season during the bubble. I remember that little beef they had.
No.
Nah,
Though I
dude.
think they'd rather face the
Oh, why
Jazz.
you doubling me or something?
Yeah, I'm telling you, they
Is
were
that what
they were
something
they
you
were talking
said?
a lot of shit on Twitter. You know, they were calling each other soft.
Oh,
You know,
really?
they were you know, it went back and forth at it. So I think that matchup would be spicy,
Uh,
real spicy.
Yeah, what I was saying is just that they would rather probably want to face the Jazz because of lack of experience. Jazz might match up a little better against them than the Clippers.
I think that, yeah. And you never know. Throw regular season out the window. Everything that happens in the playoffs is fair game, and it's totally
Absolutely
different.
true.
But let's get into tonight. We got a pair of game 4s. The first game of the night will be the 76ers taking on the Hawks. The 76ers are a -3 favorite with the total set at 224.5. Danny Green is out for 2 weeks with a right calf strain.
Sheesh.
Elvis, what is your play on this game?
I'll be taking the 76ers -4.5.
Oh, it went up or you got it early?
I called it early. I called it real early. What is it? What is it at now?
Right now it's at -3.
Oh wow! So it went. Psh, I'm panicking. I'm be honest. I'll still smash it even at 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. Last game 3, I alternated the spread. I told you guys smash it. It won convincingly, like I said. So I'm gonna be honest. I will take the. I was talking to them before the show. I was kind of like in a mix. I'm like, Hawks are a very great home team, and Philly, they're a decent road team. But at the end of the day, Philly's just, and especially Joel Embiid, just a tough matchup for Atlanta, man. He's just been dominating them down low, and they're just a better team, honestly. And if Tobias Harris, Steph Curry just have they been playing, they could possibly win the series in 5.
Joe, what is your play?
Man,
on this
I
game?
wanted the Hawks just to keep things excited, but I think this is where the Sixers start pulling away. They start pulling the series. They could probably finish it out, to be honest, and win it in 5. Yeah, they're playing too good. Yeah, Danny Green's out, but I just think the momentum switching. It's just an entire switch. As hot the Hawks were, they needed that to ride this into possibly going into the Eastern Conference Finals. But once again, another experienced team as compared to a rookie team, rookie coach. I like the Sixers. I'm giving the 3. I think they'll cover it. I was debating it a little bit, but I think the line's too small. I think they could win by 5. They could win by 6. So that 3 is not too worrisome for me, as opposed to the other game we'll get into. But yeah, I think the Sixers, they just start pulling away here.
I guess maybe the odds makers are saying they're home. Desperation. They can't go down 3-1 and then go back to Philly. So maybe you get a hearted experience or push for the Hawks. I mean, I would lean the 76ers as well. I don't like that we're all on it, but I just can't pull the trigger on it right now. But I'm going to go back to the well that has been very good to me. I've hit this prop all 3 games this series. Ben Simmons under 6.5 boards. He averages 3.7 rebounds this series. He also hasn't gotten more than 6 bounds in the last 2 years versus this team. Granted, it's 2 teams, but since he's guarding Trae Young, great move by Doc Rivers. The first game they lost, he wasn't guarding Trae Young, and he dropped 37. Now he's guarding Trae Young, slowed everything down. It brings him further away from the rim. And he usually switches on the guy that's shooting the ball, which makes him further away from the basket. Plus, you got a lot of bigs, like I said last time in this series. Got Clint Capella, John Collins, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid's healthy now. I think Simmons will focus on trying to stop Trae Young instead of getting boards. I'll take Ben Simmons under 6.5 boards. You're getting plus money, too. So it's at plus 110. So that's my play on that.
I like that.
game.
That was smart on Doc's part because everything that Trae Young has, his strengths, is going to be neutralized by the height. 6'11", right, on Simmons?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'll be honest, I think Ben Simmons got something to prove here. I think he's a little tight that he didn't get that Defensive Player of the Year award. So It's locking Trey Young up.
And especially if it's a close game, I'm not anticipating it will be, but Ben Simmons usually isn't out there for close games because of how bad he is shooting
the ball.
So that's even better for me. So I'm confident about this play. I'm gonna keep hitting it until the market adjusts.
Nice. I was gonna say, because like if he could get over that and start grabbing some more boards and actually practice his shooting in the offseason, you're looking at an MVP right there, because he dominates he's a great vision defensively. Forget about it.
Well, that's the only thing he's missing.
He needs the shooting, and he needs a little more aggression on the boards.
Going to be unguardable.
He's going to be a top 5 player.
100%.
Yeah. And I think the reason he averaged 10, 11 rebounds in the first series because you had a lot of the backcourts who drove to the cup. Trey Young really doesn't drive to the cup besides on that pick and roll.
And then when he does, he's just lobbing it.
Yeah, floater.
And I'll be honest, that floater, he hits it 8 out of 10 times. So he's not too many misses on that.
Yeah. Let's get to the second game tonight. It's game 3 between the Jazz and the Clippers. Clippers are a -5 favorite with the total set at 224 in the half. Excuse me. Do the Clippers tie the series tonight, Elvis?
I'm leaning that way, man. I'm being honest. I'm leaning that way. Honestly, I'm not leaning nowhere. I'm taking the Clippers tonight to tie the series up 2-2. I could honestly see this series going 7 games.
Are you going to take the money line -220? That's very juicy.
It's really juicy. As right now, my action app, I did take the money line, but I might just alternate the spread. 5 is a little high.
So you don't like the points?
Yeah, I don't like it at all. But I'm gonna be honest, they dominated them game 3, so I could see why it's high. If anything, I might switch it to like 3.5 just to get the juice a little down to like possibly like -130, 140.
Is playoff P back? Had a great game 3.
Playoff P, man. Stop playing my man Playoff P, man. I know he be hitting inside his backboard and whatnot, but I'm gonna be honest, he's one of the best 2-way players in the league, man. So you gotta respect his game. Wow. Yeah, yes, I know the lights might be too bright for him in playoffs at moments, but when that kid puts his head down, he's one of the best players in the NBA. I don't care what nobody says.
How about you, Joe? Yeah. Where are you going into this game?
So just as you said, you didn't like the points. I'm gonna have to take them with the Jazz. I'm taking them +5 because I just feel that they could come out. I wasn't comfortable taking a money line. The money line's juice was a +175, something like that. But
yeah, right now it's at +184.
+184. I mean, the value is good there, but I'd rather just play it safe as opposed to you maybe leaning money line with the Clippers. I think that they could win the game, the Clippers, to even up the series. But I just felt comfortable enough taking the +5 because even though the Clippers, when they did win, they won by 10+ points. The last 2 games that the Jazz have won, they only won by like a score or 2. So that's the thing. If the Jazz do wind up being victorious, it'll be a close, like, neck-and-neck game you could see from precedent. But if the Clippers win, it's going to be a blowout. But I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that this game is going to be close no matter what, right till the end. So me taking the +5 on the Jazz's side is just like a safe, comfortable bet.
Yeah, I probably, if I had to pick a side, I probably would be with Joey taking the points. I think it's a lot of points actually just crept up to 5.5. Maybe get to 6, 7. That's a lot of points. I know the Clippers are home, but
Vegas love the Clippers, bro. They love them.
I just think the Jazz are a better team, to be honest. I know this Mike Conley injury is affecting them a little bit, and now you're starting to see it. I know this game is going to be tough. Like I said, it's in LA, but I think we get a good shooting night from both squads. We can be looking at an over as well. Jazz is a great over team.
Hit 23s, 2 out of 3 games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was that prop bet? It was like Francesco Campazzo to hit 4+ threes, and he nailed it.
Yeah, he was just chucking them at that.
Well, they got Joe Ingles as well, who could shoot real well. The Jazz, yeah.
Jordan Clarkson just be chucking them.
6-man.
I'm glad you started talking about the 3-point, because I'm taking Donovan Mitchell over 3.5 threes at -113. He's hit this prop in every game this series, and I think this is a really low number for a guy who takes a lot of threes during the game. So he'll have all the opportunity, and plus he's on the court for 30, 40 minutes.
Spider.
Yeah, exactly. I think Donovan Mitchell, will continue to stay hot. He's hit this number, like I said, 3 times in a row, especially if it's a back-and-forth game like me and Joe anticipate it being. I'm going to continue to hammer this prop until the market adjusts because 3.5 seems low. He hit 6 last game. He hit 4 the game 2, and then he hit 5 game 1.
Wow.
3.5 is low. So I thought it was a good number as well. So I'm going to take Donovan Mitchell over 3.5 threes at -113.
Yo, my bad. Who said that real quick? It was a Shay Sharp where he was like, I don't want to hear about no Karl Malone. I don't want to hear about no Joe Stockton. Devin Mitchell, he's the best player in Jazz history. Oh.
Yeah, that's probably
And I just got
understandable.
another play for this game. I'll be honest. I was thinking here. Clippers been getting punched in their face in the first quarter a lot in this playoff. So I'll be taking the Utah Jazz at plus 1.5 first quarter at minus 114. I just think it's a safe play there. They come out hot. Last game it came out 8-0. You know, so I could see the Clippers getting punched in their shit and then come back, win the game.
Plus 1.5, right?
Plus 1.5. I like it. That's why. I
That
like
makes me
it.
think it's gonna be neck and neck, brother.
Yeah,
like what
this
me and
might
D
be a
are saying.
close game, but Clippers might just pull off at the end.
That's right.
You know, I don't know.
Slow starters, strong
Vegas
finishers.
is telling you something.
That's right.
Vegas is telling you something.
Yeah. I'm staying away from that because you know me, my first quarters and first halves. I don't really.
Ever
if
since
they're
it's
so-
at half a point, Dylan's been paranoid.
It's because it's ridiculous at this point.
It's
I
just
know
tearing at the
I'm
heartstrings.
gonna say it's a little quick story for you guys. Dylan had the over on the game. I think it was 107.5.
First half.
First half, Luka hits a jumper.
With
Right,
about like 30, 20 seconds left.
with like 20 seconds left. So he hit the over is 109. Right. We come back at the third quarter. They took the 2 points off. They said it was a shot clock violation.
It was still in his hand.
It was still in his hand. So you went into halftime. Score was 109. You come back at halftime. Score was 107.
I lost the bet.
You lost the bet. So Luka made the shot. So I guess they reviewed it at halftime,
Said don't count.
and the rest is history.
Mood changed the whole night. Didn't even want to watch the game.
If that ain't the baddest beat of all time.
That's it. It's over. 21st fives for baseball.
Joe, let's hit the
Oh.
ice. We had a crazy game one yesterday between the Lightning and the Islanders. Islanders with the upset, taking 1-0 lead.
How fun was that?
Oh my God, it was amazing. You actually hit on one of your 3 bets on that game. So great job on the unders. Both unders hit for you.
I think now that they're in the finals, both East and West, it's gonna be close scoring. It's not gonna be any blowouts. I don't even think for the Habs in Vegas, and they think that they're gonna score tons of. And I'm like, I think the total opposite.
I think, right, because like you were saying, you get all these good teams down the final four. It's great goaltending and great defense. So they're going to be locking up.
And it gets more physical.
Oh, absolutely. I think people, including me, have to start respecting this Islander team, though.
I didn't have them. I took the Lightning money line, and I'm eating my words right now. 2-1 victory on Isles, but it seemed pretty dominant because they scored 2 goals early. That's where the 2-0 hole we always talk about comes into effect. But, you know, Lightning owners got the 1 in, and that was at the end of the third period. So they weren't really in it. The Islanders are hot.
Oh, my God. They do a lot well. They forecheck. They play great defense. Vasilano is a great goaltender. Plus, they have a head coach like Gary Trotz, who won a couple of caps a couple years ago. Joe, who are you backing for tonight's game for the Canadians and Vegas Golden Knights? Vegas Golden Knights are actually 280 favorite. The total's at 5.5.
Man, once we talked about it, going under in the first period, 1.5, minus 133 here. I just think that Carey Price is playing at an all-time high, and you can't deny the goalkeeping of Marc-Andre Fleury. He on the other side could hold his own. So we might have a low-scoring affair, something that might be 0-0 going into OT. I think something like that can actually be afoot here. I think that's a fun matchup, to be honest. A defensive one for the first on the Western side. I think that's fun. A lot of people don't like that, but I do. I think a defensive matchup, maybe we get a fight here and there. I like it, and I can't go against the Habs. So at plus 215, I'm taking a money line. Yeah. And like I said, here's what goes into. I'm not taking the entire game at. It was at 5. I wasn't taking. I didn't. When I saw it was just at 5, and I didn't like the solid number. I didn't like how it was over. I didn't like how it was under. So what I did is, since I have the Habs winning, I'm taking Vegas Golden Knights team total under. It's at 3.5. And I'm taking it under minus 140 because I think the Habs will win. And it could be like a 2-1, another one like we saw last night, or it could be a 1-0 win in OT, somewhere where that 3.5 is just way too high for my liking. Hey, who's the goalie for the Islanders? Not to backtrack, but the difference is there. They were saying that the Lightning's goalie is at like a 4. Yeah, it's a 4 GAA, and their Islanders only like a 1. But that didn't show last night. Yeah. Plus money. Wow. Love that. I had the Avalanche. Yeah. Yeah. But if in terms of the Western Series, I would definitely trail you, lean the Habs, and unfortunately, I got to stick with the Lightning because I have no coming out of the East. But let's see if they can make things interesting because if Islanders go up 2-0, they might have that series. Winning 2 games in Tampa Bay. Islanders, you said that they weren't, well, they're lucky to be here, but they have earned their spot. And that says it right there. At a pick 'em. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, playoff hockey is electric. Oh, the Coliseum is rocking. It's rocking when they're not even playing. That's how crazy it gets. I didn't like the board to be completely honest. As you go through a couple of the games, I cannot tell you some things that I'm trailing and some things that I have. Schwarber's raking. Yeah, 2 homers in the game right there. I would definitely trail that. I think I'm gonna lean because Pirates are just a bad ball club. They started off pretty good, but that's what happens early in the season. You got bad teams, playing good, and the good team's not hot yet, and now everything's kind of settled in. So Mets, god awful. Well, yeah, the Cubs actually had that thrilling victory last night. Kimbrel, he had that, put away K to end the game. And in this game, man, I'm not going to play the Mets. I think I'll do the over first five. Uh, I think if I saw it earlier, it was only like 3.5, 4.5, if I'm mistaken. Is that moved at all? 4.5. Yeah, I think I would hit the over. Two bad pitchers right now. Are they playing at Wrigley Field? Yeah, I like it. I thought the field was electric. Wrigley Field was electric, so that was fun. Maybe it would have been cool to see our boys play over there in Chicago, but I'm gonna have to roll the opposite. Don't the Rays have the best record in baseball right now? Rays have been a little hotter, in my opinion. I like Glasnow on the mound. I know Lance Lynn is a beast. Are they playing over there in Guaranteed Rate Field? Yeah, they're playing the South Side. I think I'm still gonna roll with Glasnow, and I would bang his over prop, whatever the K's are at. I would hit the over, and I would take the money line on the Rays. I think I'm gonna go the opposite of you because I just think that the Rays get it done when Glasnow's on the mound. They actually hit. Randy Rosarena finally broke that spell, and he's hitting again. So I don't know. I'll side with the Rays because I feel more comfortable taking a more explosive pitcher in Glasnow than Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn does great with the breaking stuff out of the zone, but Glasnow could just beat you with a fastball down the middle. That is high. That is high. Might be worth it. Sprinkle a little something. Definitely. Yeah, that's why I would not feel comfortable giving the runs. That's why I would take one of these teams' money line. So you're smart by taking the first five money line, and I would say I'm smart by taking the full game money line. Yep. The D-backs did come out with those slick uniforms. I think like a homage to their minor league team or something like that. But yeah, it's an instant fade with them. I would just go first five, the first five gods, the San Francisco Giants money line. They just don't lose in that. So maybe something can happen at the end, towards the end of the game. Maybe the D-backs do something shocking because they are playing at home. Correct? It's in Arizona. Oh, so yeah, maybe double it up, take the first five San Francisco Giants, and then take full game San Francisco Giants. Yeah, and the Rays in the same division, lowest paid. True. Red Sox. I just don't like a team that's not versatile. Like you look at most teams around the MLB, and good teams they could do more than one thing, which is the Yankees. All you gotta do is hit a home run. To be completely honest with you, they don't steal bases. They don't field well. The pitching is not that good. Besides Garrett Cole, it's just the catching. They don't call. Gary doesn't call a great game. Yeah, he has a little bit of a bat, but nor does he field that well either. So it's like you got disadvantages across the whole diamond on that team. You sometimes have to make critical decisions, and that was an error on their part because I think Didi at Yankee Stadium fared a lot better. He just worked better for the team. He worked better in their ballpark, and I don't know why they. Well, actually, it's the vice versa. Joe Girardi went where his shortstop was because I'm pretty sure Girardi got signed after Didi. But still, you know what? Fuck the Yankees. The crown. No, that'll do it for me, man. Nothing else really. Let's go, Guru. Poof. I like that second one, in my opinion. It's maybe that Tobias Harris. Hey. Hey, I do have one last thing. I know I forget. We mentioned that PFL on Thursday. I could tell you my money line picks because that's probably the only way you can bet it. I'm gonna take Cesar Fajea. He's fighting Chris Camozzi. I'm gonna take Emiliano Sordi. He's fighting Dan Spahn. I'm actually gonna take this random Nikolai Alexeikin against Ray Cooper III, and everyone's favoring Ray Cooper, so I'll take the underdog there. And then in the final fight, the main event, I gotta go with Rory McDonald because I don't think anyone's really gonna beat him over there at PFL. The dude seems like he's a champion. There we go.